Google's temporary 5 British offices, 5,000 staff, and plans for a £1 billion super HQ. So how can it still get away with saying it has no permanent UK base? This is not me talking, the conspiracy theorist. This is the Daily Mail. Now, I have to commend the Daily Mail because I presume the Daily Mail pays a lot more tax than Google, and that must be very annoying that the Daily Mail, for all its sins, and I'm no fan, should have to get a worse tax deal than Google. So it's hardly surprising that the Daily Mail are upset when they're competing against a global multinational that dodges tax. Now, I've said this in previous uploads, but I do think it's not a coincidence that Google has a 666 PO box number in Bermuda. I also think it's not a coincidence that when you find a deleted channel on YouTube, you see a pyramid of televisions. A pyramid of televisions. So whether it's pyramids or the number 666 or anything like that, there's always a Masonic element. Now, Google is very well linked. It's very popular. I'm pretty sure that Keith Vaz or Sir Greville Janner or Tony Blair has never said a word against Google. After all, how could they when Google has so much data on their activities? But apparently, according to Google, all the business they did is based in Ireland, even though the Irish economy is about 5% of that of the UK, right? So the question needs to be asked why they're using Ireland as an offshore tax base, rather like they use the Cayman Islands or Luxembourg or Liechtenstein. Ireland's basically piggybacking off the UK. And of course, with all this free money that the Google have got, not needing to pay tax, means that there's plenty of freebies for their loyal staff. I mean, I'd love to, if you've got no sense of right and wrong and you just want to make money, then working for Google must be almost the best job you can get. Lots of people would love to work for Google. I mean, the type of people who would like to be an estate agent or perhaps a police officer would obviously like to work for Google because you get a great salary and you get all these freebies. Look, staff working there, free meals, limitless drinks, and can even work from the roof garden for inspiration so they can work out the next scams and deceptions and money laundering tricks. Yup, nice work if you can get it. So they made $6 billion profit in over 10 years, but Her Majesty's government don't seem to think that Google has a permanent UK base. So it funnels its cash via Dublin to Bermuda. Here we have some of the offices. Be interesting to compare Google's UK offices with the offices in Ireland. Union flags, nice trick. Patriotism is the worst, is the last refuge of the scoundrel. Google is about as British as bagels, basically. And this is the kinky office here with a couple of twits sitting around, looking at their phones, inevitably. That's that guy again. He seems to have moved. Look, here he is, and here he is again. Like many slobs, he hasn't even taken his shoes off. This is the type of person they get at Google. Puts their feet on put their shoes on the sofa. Bad manners, really, but what do you expect when you work for Google? Staff are encouraged to take on the work of others. This all sounds good, doesn't it? What a pity these people are a load of cunts. And here we have Google's free food and drink. Right. Free food and drink. Market Square. Market Square. It sounds like Morrison's, doesn't it? Market Square. And here's a roof garden. Allotment area to grow things. Wonder what they're growing. Cannabis, probably. Growing things. They're not growing much here, are they? Look. What are they growing? Horsetail. Oh well. George Osborne held the £130 million deal as a victory for the British taxpayer. Britain Barney Jones said, head should roll. Google's 3 main offices are in central London. They're building a massive office now in King's Cross for their international spy arm. Typical Google quirks. Granny's flat with chintzy furniture and a padded meeting room with airlock doors. Padded. I'll tell you one thing, if you padded cell, I think a lot of Google people should work in a padded cell. They seem to hire people specifically for their lack of human decency. Horrible company. Has a La La library. I wonder, La La, I think it could be La La Land. A hedge your bet secret garden. Powerful Wi-Fi. Google's work because staff are encouraged to just take work off others if they believe they can do it better. Well, that's nice. Google likes to steal other people's data, don't they? Free food and drink. While on Friday the canteen is converted into a free bar. Wow, I wonder if I could go along and enjoy all these freebies. Seeing as Google are very interested in on what I'm up to on the internet, even though they've got hundreds of millions of channels. It's artificial intelligence arm in King's Cross. Well, I tell you one thing, you can say what you like about Google, but you have to admit their intelligence is certainly artificial. Covered in pictures and the Queen and Winston Churchill. Yes, the Queen and Winston Churchill. I wonder if Netanyahu's there as well. Maybe Sir Greville Janner's photo should be given pride of place. And Caitlyn Jenner. Come on, Google, you know you want it. So they've got a HQ in Manchester as well. Oh yes. Rooftop pool, rejected initial design. Apparently, a rooftop pool, an indoor football pitch, and a private climbing wall is too boring. So next time you check in at your job at Co-op, ask yourself, and then look at your PAYE form, and then ask yourself why Google aren't paying taxes, but you are. A dance studio, rocking chairs, acoustic airlocks, and a padded cell. Several senior government figures, of course they have. Of course they have. Several senior. No wonder they get a tax deal. No wonder they're allowed to pay pennies on the pound. Meditation room, 5 massage rooms, a running track, games area, spinning and cardio studios, and an informal breakout space. 6 Pancras Square, 11 floors. 11 floors, 11 times 6, 66. I see. Multi-billion-dollar UK business. But despite Britain being its biggest market outside America, Google insists all sales are completed in Ireland, allowing it to avoid 20% corporation tax. Well, now we know why we have the government ministers. Give them a gin and tonic and they'll sign away billions in income. No wonder the poor police have only been given a 1% pay rise this year. Poor police. But still, on the other hand, if you did as little work as they do, I suppose they should be grateful for any money at all. Apparently, Google paid, the company's European public affairs chief said, as a US-based company, it pays the bulk of its taxes in America. 3.3 billion. 3.3 billion. 33. Wonder where I've seen that number before. Well, I'm surprised it's not 7.7 billion. That would be even better. So basically, Peter Barron thinks that Google shouldn't pay any UK taxes because they pay a lot of taxes in America. That's an interesting argument, isn't it? Yeah. Google. A 6-year audit. $130 million for 6 years. 130 million quid. I think that's what, isn't that what they, I think that's what they spend on hookers in a year, isn't it? Last year, the value of its sales in Britain was 3.8 billion. Paid just 20.4 million. Oh dear. How Google funnels its money. Yeah. Money from the Dutch companies paid back to another Irish subsidiary based in Bermuda. Bermuda and the Triangles. Bermuda and the Pyramids. 666. Benefit from the country's lower tax rate on profits. Basically, what the Irish government have done, with Britain's permission, is to allow money laundering to take place. Ireland is allowing Google to work unchecked with no monitoring, and in return for getting Google's account, and doesn't seem to care that Britain is actually losing money because of this. Very nice of Ireland to give Google this facility. 5%, it would be 20%. Google says it has abided by tax rules. Most of its algorithms developed outside the country. I'm sure they are. Probably developed in Bermuda. Well, I bet comments are closed. Of course, comments will be closed. Let's have a look. We are no longer accepting comments on this article. How convenient. The most popular comment had 200, so that's very, very quick. Lots of people commented, but they didn't want the anti-Google people to take over, so they quickly scotch it. This is what the Daily Mail. I mean, the Daily Mail have to be fairly careful. On the one hand, the Daily Mail are very angry that Google are allowed to get away with not paying taxes that the Daily Mail have to pay, at least to a certain extent. I'm sure that Daily Mail and General Trust do not pay full taxes. They almost certainly they take advantage of loopholes as well. But compared to companies such as Facebook and Google, I would imagine the vast majority of British companies are at a major competitive disadvantage. And once again, we see examples of British-hating US corporations that support the EU taking advantage of weak governments in the UK, and in particular pro-Google, pro-US, pro-EU British politicians who are prepared to sell out the British people in return for a few gin and tonics at Google headquarters, followed by, after they retire, lucrative gigs on Google's payroll.